Hi students, welcome back to yet another video class of business regulation. In this video, we are going to discuss about joint promises, reciprocal promises and assignment of contract. So first we can discuss joint promises. What is a joint promise? When two or more persons make a joint promise with one or more persons, such promise are called joint promises. For example, Ramachandran, Anil and Jacob jointly borrowed rupees 15,000 from Raghu and Sunil. This is a joint promise. Once again, when two or more persons make a joint promise with one or more persons, such promise are called joint promises. Now we can discuss the rules regarding performance of joint promises. So the rules are devolution of joint liabilities. Any one of the joint promises may be compelled to perform. Effect of release of joint promiser. Devolution of joint rights. So take the first point, devolution of joint liabilities or transfer of joint liabilities, which means passing over from one person to another. That is the meaning of devolution. According to section 42 of the Contract Act, when two or more persons have made a joint promise, all of them must jointly fulfill the promise. Suppose one of the joint promiser is died. His legal representative is liable for doing the promise along with the other promises. If all the joint promisers is died, then also the whole liability is vested with the legal representatives. Now look the example, A, B and C jointly took loan from D. If A dies, then his representative will perform the promise jointly with B and C. Further, in case of death of all, the legal representative of all of them jointly needs to perform the promise. So in this case, when A is died, A's legal representative is liable to perform the promise. Further, in case of death of all, that means A, B and C, the legal representative of all of them jointly need to perform the promise. Now next rule regarding joint promise is any one of the joint promises may be compelled to perform. When two or more persons make a joint promise, but the promisee may compel any one of the person to perform the promise. In such case, each promiser has the equal liability to contribute equally to discharge the promise. In other words, if any one of the joint promiser alone perform the whole of the promise, he may claim an equal contribution from the other joint promisers. If any one of the joint promiser makes a default in such contribution, then the remaining joint promiser should equally liable for the loss arising from such default. Now we can explain this with an example. A, B and C jointly promised to pay D the sum of rupees 15,000. C is compelled to pay the whole. C is entitled to receive rupees 5,000 each from A and B. So here firstly one person performed the contract, that is C is performed, but C has the right to receive the amount from A and B because A, B and C jointly promises to pay D the sum of rupees 15,000. C alone providing that 15,000. So C has the right to receive amount from other A and B. So this is the second rule. Now moving to the third rule, that is release of a joint promiser and its effect, or effect of release of one joint promiser. When one or more promiser have made a joint promise and one promiser is released from his liability, then what is the status of other promisers? Here the rule is the other promisers must perform the contract. They are not free from their liability. It means that the released promisers cannot be made free from the liability of other joint promises. Now look this, A, B and C are joint promises of a debt payable to D. D released C from his liability and sued A and B for recovery of the debt. Here neither A and B can escape from the liability to the debt nor C is discharged from the liability to contribute to A and B. Here only C is released from doing the promise. A and B must perform the liability. This is the third rule. Now look the next rule related with the joint promise, devolution of joint rights. Section 45 deals with the devolution of joint rights. When a person had made a promise to two or more persons jointly, then the right to demand the performance of the promise is vested with all the joint promises. They can demand the performance. Once again, when a person had made a promise to two or more persons jointly, then the right to demand the performance of the promise is vested with all the joint promises. They can demand the performance. If any one of the joint promisees got deceased or died, then the legal representatives can demand the performance. If all the joint promisees are died, legal representatives of all promises jointly have the right to claim the performance. Members of joint Hindu family, partners of a firm, partners of joint ventures, partners of joint mortgages are the examples of joint promises. Now look this illustration. Here A, who has received rupees 30,000 from B and C, promises that them to repay the sum with interest on a day specified. B dies. The right to claim performance rests with B's representatives jointly with C during C's life, and after the death of C with the representatives of B and C jointly. So here B and C are the promisees, so they have the right to ask the performance. Suppose B is died, then the representatives of B has the right to ask the performance along with the C. Suppose B and C both are died, then the legal representatives of B and C can have the right to demand the performance. So these are all about joint promises and its rule. Now we are going to discuss our next topic, that is reciprocal promises. What is a reciprocal promise? When one party gives a promise in consideration of the other party's promise, both the promises are called a reciprocal promise. In other words, when a contract consisting of exchange of promises, they are called a reciprocal promise. According to section 2 subsection F says that promises which form the consideration or part of the consideration for each other are called a reciprocal promises. Now look this example. A promises to deliver his car to B and B promises to pay him rupees 3 lakh on delivery of the car. Promise to deliver the car and a promise to pay rupees 3 lakh are reciprocal promise. So here two promises there, they are complement to each other. Such type of promise is known as reciprocal promise. Now we can discuss the important types of reciprocal promises. They are mutual and dependent promise, mutual and independent promise, mutual and concurrent promise. So the first type of promise is mutual and dependent promise. When the performance of one depends on the prior performance of the other party, then the promise is known as mutual and dependent promise. X promises to construct Y's house provided that Y supplies cement and bricks. This will be a conditional and dependent promise. Here X need not perform the promise if Y fails to supply cement and bricks. So this is the example of first type. Now look the second one, that is mutual and independent promise. When the promises are to be performed by each party independently without waiting for the other party to perform his promise, then such kind of promises are known as mutual and dependent. Once again, where each party must perform his promise independently and irrespective of the fact whether the other party has performed or is willing to perform his promise or not. The promises are mutual and independent. Here there is no need for understanding whether the other party is performed or no. Each party perform his performance independently. Now look this example. A promises B to pay rupees 50,000 on Sunday and B promises to deliver a scooter the next Sunday. The promises are mutual and independent. Therefore, both of them must perform promise without waiting for performance or willingness to perform of the other party. Now next type is mutual and concurrent. When the promises are to be performed simultaneously, then the promises are mutual and concurrent. All cash sales are example of simultaneous or concurrent promises, as delivery of goods and payment of price takes place simultaneously. Okay, now we can discuss the rules regarding the performance of reciprocal promises. There are mainly 6 rules regarding performance of reciprocal promises. They are regarding simultaneous performance, regarding order of performance, effect of preventing the performance, effect of non-performance by the party who is to perform first, reciprocal promises, one legal and other illegal, alternative promise, one branch being illegal. So take first one, simultaneous reciprocal promise or rules regarding simultaneous performance. When a contract consisting of reciprocal promises to be simultaneously performed, the promiser need not perform his promise unless the promisee is ready and willing to perform his reciprocal promise. So this rule is explained under section 51 of the Indian Contract Act. In such a case, both the parties are to perform their promise simultaneously. So this is the first rule, that is regarding simultaneous performance. Now take the next one, rule regarding order of performance. Well, the order in which reciprocal promises are to be performed is expressly fixed by the contract. They shall be performed in that order. And where the order is not expressly fixed by the contract, they shall be performed in that order which the nature of the transaction requires. So, when the contract is fixed with an order, the contract must be performed in that order. Otherwise, we can perform the contract on the nature of transaction required. So, this is the second rule, that is regarding order of performance. Now the next rule is effect of preventing the performance. When a contract contains reciprocal promises and one party to the contract prevent the other from performing the promise, the contract becomes voidable at the option of the party so prevented, and he is not entitled to compensation from the other party for any loss which he may sustain in consequence of the non-performance of the contract. So this was explained under section 53 of the Indian Contract Act. This section says that when a contract contains reciprocal promises and one party to the contract prevent the other from performing his promise, then the contract becomes voidable at the option of the party so prevented. Now the next rule is effect of non-performance by the party who is to perform first. When the performance of one party depends on the prior performance of the other party, and the party who is liable to perform first fail to perform it, then such party cannot claim the performance from the other party and must make compensation to the other party for any loss which the other party may sustain by the non-performance of the contract. This was explained under section 54 of the Indian Contract Act. This section says that when the performance of one party depends on the prior performance of the other party and the first party fails to perform the contract, in such cases the party cannot claim the performance from the other party and must make compensation to the other party for any loss which the other party may sustain by the non-performance of the contract. Now the next rule is reciprocal promises, one legal and the other illegal. Where persons reciprocally promise firstly to do certain things which are legal and secondly under specified circumstances to do certain other things which are illegal. The first set of promise is a contract, but the second set is a void agreement. However, if the legal part is inseparable from the illegal part, then the whole contract is void. So this was explained under section 57. So this section says that where persons reciprocally promise firstly to do certain things which are legal and then the next part is illegal. In such cases, we cannot separate legal part from illegal, so the whole contract is void. This is the rule related with this case. And now the last rule is alternative promise, one branch being illegal. In the case of alternative promise, one branch of which is legal and the other is illegal, the legal branch alone can be enforced. So here only legal branch can enforce the contract. Illegal branch cannot enforce the contract. This was explained under section 58 of the Indian Contract Act. So these are all about rules regarding reciprocal promises. Now the next topic is assignment of contracts. So what is the meaning of assignment of contract? Assignment means transfer of rights or obligation held by one party to another party. A contract assignment means that a party to the contract assign the entire contract to another party. Once again, assignment of contracts means transfer of contractual rights and liabilities under the contract to a third party with or without the concurrence of the other party to the contract. So, assignment of contract may take place in two cases. They are act of the parties or operation of law. Then assignment by the act of party, that is the first case. Assignment of the act of party means assignment is said to take place by an act of the parties when they themselves make the assignment. Assignment by the act of party is subject to two rules. They are assignment of contractual obligation and assignment of contractual right. So, first rule related with this is assignment of contractual obligation. Contractual obligation involves personal skills or ability cannot be assigned. A promisor cannot assign his liability or obligation under a contract. The promisor may transfer his liability with the consent of the promisee and of the transferee. So, these three are the important points which is related with the assignment of contractual obligation. Once again, contractual obligation involves a personal skill or ability, so which cannot be assigned to another one. Then a promisor cannot assign his liability or obligation under a contract. Then the promisor may transfer his liability with the consent of the promisee and of the transferee. So, a promisor cannot assign his liability or obligation to another person, but he can transfer his liability with the consent of the promisee and the transferee. Then assignment of contractual rights. The right and benefits under a contract not involving personal skill may be assigned, subject to all equities between the original parties. An actionable claim can always be assigned. So, here the rights can be transferred to another person, there is no problem. So, these are the two rules related with the assignment of contract by the act of the parties. Now, look assignment of contracts by the operation of law. Contracts is either discharged or terminated by operation of law. Assignment by operation of law takes place in two cases. They are death and insolvency. In case of death of any party, the rights and obligation of the deceased party passes on to his legal representatives. So, in the case of a death of the party, legal representative can do the contract. Then next is insolvency. In case of insolvency of any party, the rights and obligations of the insolvent party passes on the official receiver or assignee as the case may be. So, in the case of insolvency, the official receiver or assignee has the right to do that contract. So, these are the two cases related with the operation of law. Okay, now we can discuss the questions related with this area. They are: what do you mean by joint promises? Explain the rules regarding the performance of joint promises. What is reciprocal promises? What are the types of reciprocal promises? Explains the rules regarding performance of reciprocal promises. What do you mean by assignment of contracts? Explain the rules regarding assignment by the act of parties. Explain the cases where assignment by operation of law is applicable. So, today we discussed what is joint promise, rules regarding joint promise, reciprocal promise, types of reciprocal promise, rules regarding reciprocal promise, assignment of contracts, methods or way of assignment of contracts. So, hope you get a clear picture regarding this. Okay, now we can wind up today's session. We can meet in our next class. Till then, bye. Take care.